Afternoon. Forget Starmer. Forget Kemi. UK politics is doomed, but the only saviour for us is Elon Musk. That's right, Elon Musk. Welcome to the John Gaunt Show. I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Did you see that Thunderbird puppet with no strings last night, Keir Starmer? He can't even switch on the Christmas lights outside Downing Street. The man has zero charisma. In fact, he's got the charisma of a brown paper bag. And as one of my Twitter followers today said, that's an insult to brown paper bags. He is useless. Oh, let's count down 5, 4. Nobody joined in with him. 3, 2, 1. Push the button. There was a little pause. Then the lights came on the tree. Who supplied the tree? Where was Lord Ali when he needed him to make sure the lights came on and it was dynamic? It was as dull as ditch water, which sums up Starmer completely. He has not got charisma. He is not a leader, and he'll never be a leader whilst I've got a hole in my underpants. Do you agree or disagree? Get on Twitter. John Gaunt is the handle, or on Facebook, or send me an email, john@johngaunt.com. And then last night, he went along to the Mansion House and he gave a speech, didn't he? Where he actually compared himself to Winston Churchill. He's not fit to even compare himself to Winston the bloody insurance dog in the adverts. The guy's a jerk. There he was in the white dicky bow and tails and the rest of it. And he said, look, it's not a choice between us in Britain siding with our oldest ally, i.e. the United States of America, although I always thought our oldest ally was Portugal, but we'll put that to one side. He said it's not about deciding to go with them or to go with the EU. We can have both. No, we can't. You sit on a fence, Starmer. You have end up getting splinters in your backside. You have to make a decision. Now, I know most of your cabinet, because most of them are still involved in student politics, like that buffoon Foreign Secretary David Lammy, have already upset the next president of the free world, Donald Trump. I know that's already happened. You've got other people in that cabinet who have already upset them with their student, silly, lefty, socialist worker, light views of the world. But our future isn't with Europe. Yes, we can trade with them, but our major future lies across the Atlantic, and it lies with Donald Trump. Whether you like it or not, he's had a landslide victory. Their stock market is going gangbusters. They are on a massive road to make America great again, and we may as well go with them. How can we trust the EU? It's obvious what Starmer wants. He wants us back in the EU via the back door. He makes me sick. He's a liar. He's duplicitous. He couldn't lie straight in a bed if he tried. Oh, I did notice his wife was with him last night. Oh, lovely photo op. What a pity he was such an automaton that he can't see what he can't do, which Farage can do, which Trump can do, is communicate with ordinary people. It doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is can you communicate? And he simply can't. He's the biggest disappointment we've ever had. And then to compare himself in any terms with Winston Churchill, who obviously did have the charisma, did have the personality, did have the strength of character to help us win the war and lead us in the war. I know afterwards it wasn't so rosy, but he led us to defeat fascism. I don't think this man could beat an egg, Starmer, let alone beat fascists. He runs away from the fascists, the Islamists. He's too busy sucking up to them, isn't he? He's going to have a reset of his government. Well, it's pretty easy how to reset your government, Sakir. Resign, you miserable failure. Resign. Is there somebody else in Labour who could take over? I don't know. But at the moment, the cat would do a better job. He'd be less of a pussy, wouldn't he, on the world stage? We've got a real problem. And this is where Elon Musk comes into the equation. There's this story doing the rounds that Elon Musk is going to give £100 million to Nigel Farage and Richard Tice of Reform. At first, they said, oh, no, you can't do that. It's illegal. Labour have subtly changed their position today because they know if they stop donations to Reform, then all their donations will dry up. And the same for the Tories. It can't be stopped. And are you telling me the man who wants to live on Mars, Elon Musk, won't find a business way around any particular problems of giving the money to Reform? Now, hear me out now, because just giving money to Reform isn't the solution, because Nigel Farage then has to really professionalise that party. I'm not even suggesting, although it probably would end up this way, if he got the 100 million, he probably would end up being Prime Minister and Reform in government, probably. But I'm not betting on that. What it would actually do, this is why I say Elon Musk is our saviour. If he put that money into British politics, it would change British politics forever. British politics is changing. I don't know who to vote for next time. I voted Green last time. And as I keep saying, only because when I'm bodyboarding, careful for the whaling ships, I don't want to be bodyboarding next to turds at Croyd Bay or Harlem Bay in Cornwall. I don't. And also, there was no point in me voting any other way where I'm living at the moment in Coventry. It's a Labour stranglehold. We've got a woman who's MP. She's MP for Coventry, or Fossil Road, in fact, when she's actually Fossil Road and Gaza. All she ever talks about is Gaza. The only footballer she talks about is Mo Salah from Liverpool. Is that because he is a Muslim like you, Ms. Sultana? She's the one who's got kicked out of Labour, admittedly, because she's too much of a socialist for them. But my point is, Elon Musk would change the political landscape. I don't know him. I've seen him on the telly. I really admire and respect what he's done, both with Tesla and indeed with his spaceships. He's doing good. He is a modern day Einstein, like Donald Trump says. And I don't think it would be a malign influence on British politics. I think it would give British politics a boot up the arse, because what we actually need is political leaders and parties, even if you disagree with them, who say, no, this is where I stand and that is it. And I will solve this problem by doing A, B and C. And then you need other political leaders, like we used to have, an opposition it's called, who argue and say, no, I disagree. And then they argue the toss. And then we get leadership. But that's the thing. You need leadership. And there isn't a leader in the Labour Party and in the Conservatives. I mean, Kemi, she's not a leader either. She's like a sixth former at Prime Minister's questions. And Starmer just bats her away, doesn't he, like that, like a lawyer. Oh, by the way, why hasn't he had any media training? This is how Starmer speaks. Yes, oh, look at my notes again. Make sure I don't make a mistake. He is a Thunderbird without strings, or with one string missing. Useless. But even he can beat up Kemi, because Kemi's a sixth former. And then, of course, on the front bench of Labour, they're all kids. Or you've got people like Yvette Cooper, who gets interviewed by her old man on GMTV. What's going on? Why don't we just cut our losses? And I said this in the last podcast, make Timmy Mallet the Speaker of the House of Commons. British politics is in the gutter, in the doldrums. Look at this week. We've got Greg Wallace off MasterChef. Now, I've met him many times. I've actually had lunch with him. When I was working on The Sun, I had lunch with him when I was doing Sun Talk with me and a couple of colleagues. He was quite good company. He then was sped off on a motorcycle, as these self-important media people do. Media, where they pick you up on a motorbike, Virgin or whatever, because he had to get and do his show. He was all right. I just thought, and I think he described himself as a Barrow boy who got lucky. He said, Gaunty, what happened was they wanted somebody who spoke like me. I fitted the bill. I got the gig. Now, I don't know about the charges. I do know some of the people who have said things about him. I mean, Ulrika Johnson. I did a lot of TV guest spots with her. Now, she is a liberated woman, a fantastic woman, great company. Backstage at Alan Titchmarsh, she used to, it's unbelievable. It's an anecdote. Backstage, have I ever told you about the time I was backstage at the Alan Titchmarsh show on an afternoon on ITV, and I was talking to Ulrika Johnson? If I'd said that 25 years ago, I wouldn't have believed that would ever happen. But yes, I'm talking to Ulrika Johnson. And I found her sexually liberated. I found the way she talked about life and society and relationships. This was off air, very mature and very enlightening. And I'm telling you, if she says she was offended by what Wallace said, he obviously said some pretty dark things. I think it's right that he's investigated. I think he was totally wrong to talk about women of a certain age. I mean, the guy was, you're in a hole, stop digging, you idiot. But what I think's really wrong is, yes, he's cancelled, he's finished, right? He's absolutely finished. But does it need to dominate the news? It's dominated the news for 2 days. The BBC get out the horsehair shirt, don't they, and start self-flagellating themselves. They're whipping themselves. Oh, how did we let this happen? We're terrible. We're terrible. And then today they announce they've actually cancelled 2 of the shows. Why? What a waste of our licence fee money, which, by the way, if we don't pay, we go to prison. It's an absolute joke. And then the Prime Minister has a view on it, saying, oh, yes, very much he's a misogynist. Hold on a minute. Even if he is, he has a right to a fair trial. Don't you believe in that, Sir Keir? Weren't you the Director of Public Prosecutions? I mean, I know you didn't do the Jimmy Savile case. It never came across your desk, did it, Sir Keir? But the fact is he's entitled to a fair trial. They should now investigate him and decide where to go from there. But I'll tell you something else, Sir Keir. We don't need you commenting on it. It's a spat on the telly. He's obviously I think he's in the wrong, but we'll wait and see till the investigation comes out. But I'm not going to start crucifying the guy. And I think there's more important things we should be talking about in politics. For example, these women who have got upset, were they as upset about the rape gangs? He's not been accused of any physical sexual assault, has he? But what about the rape gangs, the length and breadth of this country? And not just the Muslim ones. What about Hugh Edwards, who worked for the BBC? They let him carry on working. They even gave him a gold-plated pension. The filthy perv. He didn't go to prison, and he was looking at photographs of children, some as young as 4, being penetrated. Which is the worst crime, that or Greg talking about the size of his cucumber, or saying, oh, yeah, I had a blowjob before I came to work today? One, would you believe him? I mean, who'd go down on him? You know, sorry, I'm being a bit crude, but it's like kind of, what a load of garbage. And also, a lot of these accusations are 10 or 15 years old. Now, there is no place for bullying in the workplace. There is no place for making women feel uncomfortable. And I understand where they're coming from. However, the BBC or the independent company who made that show, they should have dealt with this ages ago. But it's not a governmental issue. Can we stop being diverted away from the things that the British public want to talk about, which is the invasion of our country by loads of men of fighting age? Why aren't we getting on top of that? Why is everything a diversion? And why do the British press... I was out in the supermarket earlier. Most of the newspapers, their front pages today, were still about Greg. I'm sorry, there's more important things to discuss. And that's what's wrong with British politics. It's become this kind of what's on the front page of the Sun or the Daily Star, that's going to affect how we are. When I wrote for the Sun, it was quite amazing. You could say something in a column, and about a week or 2 later, Blair and Campbell, they'd start making it kind of policy, or they'd discuss it. Just something that I said in the raggy arse from the raggy arse end of Radford in Coventry. I'm not bigging myself up. I'm just saying they were too influenced. He talks about Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill didn't go, oh no, everyone's complaining about the war, we better stop. In you come, Adolf, you can take over the country. He stuck to his guns because he had a vision. And that's the thing I wanted to say, really. Fundamentally, Keir Starmer's not got a vision, has he? There is no vision. So when he says he's going to reset, I think on Thursday, as I say, unless he says I'm resigning, it'll be all cobblers. It'll mean nothing. It'll be rubbish. They'll discuss it on the breakfast shows when they're reviewing the papers. And by the end, it was question time on a Thursday, isn't it? But by the end of Thursday, it'll be tomorrow's chip papers. He hasn't got a vision. Mr. Magoo had more of a vision of the society he wanted to create than Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer's middle management. Keir Starmer, right? He makes The Office look like a real documentary. He is The Office. He really is. But there's nothing funny about him. But that's what he's like. He couldn't even count down the lighting for the lighting of the Christmas tree. Zero. Charisma. The charisma of a poppadom. A stale poppadom even. And this is the problem we've got. But there's no vision on the other side. They've been too busy fighting each other. And for the last 14 years, let's face it, corrupt to the core. There's going to be loads coming out about COVID and PPI and the rest of it. And the way they feathered their nests. Partygate is going to be just a very small part of that investigation. They just looked after themselves. And although Boris had charisma and he was a leader, and in lots of ways I thought he was a good leader, you've got to accept now, haven't you, that he was a twat, basically, an upper-class Burke. He was good as the Mayor of London, better than what we've got at the moment with Sadiq Khan. But why can't they say these are the things we need to do? We need to secure our borders. We need to start sending people back. And I know Starmer's done a bit of this, a few hundred here, a few hundred there, but it needs to be thousands we need to get rid of. And if we need to do that in conjunction with Europe, let's do it. But I would suggest we do it in conjunction with the United States of America. Once Trump gets in power, which is less than 60 days now, we learn the lessons that he's going to put in place. We've got to show tough love. We've got to say it's a privilege to live in this country. And it's not just about you answering a questionnaire about what it is to be British. Or, yes, I know chicken tikka is more popular than roast beef now. But no, in Britain, we love a sense of fair play and we play cricket. What a load of bollocks. What we actually need is people who are willing to wrap themselves in the flag. And these idiots on the left who go, oh, you flag shagger, you want to do, wrap yourself in the flag. What's wrong with that? It's our flag. It's our flag, not the fascist, not the far right, our flag. And this is a brilliant country, despite what the politicians are trying to do. And we should be proud of it. And we should be saying, if you want to live here, you've got to sign up to it. We're not having any more of this garbage marching on the streets, protesting about Hamas and the rest of it. And, they're all playing with it, aren't they? These Palestinian marches are playing with the Hezbollah Hamas support. Of course they are. They're doing that. They're doing that. Not just to the police, but to the whole of us. Right? And the idea that these people come here and we put them up in hotels and everyone gets angry, that's been deliberate now. When you look at the figures, the Tories let these people in. And I was saying this years ago. I've certainly been saying it since I came back. They created a bogeyman. The bogeyman is the young refugee, stroke asylum seeker, stroke economic migrant, who jumps out of that raft when it's come across the channel. They want you to be scared of them, because meanwhile, you're looking there and they're there and they're ripping you off. The milk thing's the latest. How disgraceful that they think they can put additives in milk. You couldn't make this up, could you? We're going to put additives in milk which will stop cows farting. And by stopping them farting, we'll reduce I'm not making this up, we'll reduce the carbon emission. But this might be carcinogenic. It might be bad for humans to take in. Oh, tough shit. We've already done it in loads of supermarkets. Arla, I think the company's called. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. They treat us like guinea pigs. You know, when they say there was a big experiment about integration and immigration, both illegal and legal. Well, I don't want to be a guinea pig anymore. Don't get me wrong. I still want immigrants. We need immigrants. We need well-controlled immigration. What we don't need is people coming in on boats or overstaying. And that's what we need to get on top of. And if he started saying things like that, then he might have a vision. Or how about not letting prisoners out early, Sir Keir? How about, here's a simple idea. Let's build a load more prisons. Where are we going to get the workers from? Well, there's a load of these guys here who look perfectly fit. Couldn't they be labourers to build our prisons? You know, let's have a bit of joined up thinking. Let's get Britain working. Meanwhile, if they're not the target, the latest target for Sir Keir are the dole scroungers. Oh, these people who don't want to go to work. I heard something yesterday about, oh, yeah, he says he's depressed. He can't work. I mean, have you ever had depression? I've had family members who have had it. I've never really had it. I know I always used to say it was the new backache, and I'm sure it is used like that. However, when I recovered from my sepsis, you know, I couldn't come straight back to work. I had no confidence. Even me, who's sitting here now ranting and raving, I had no confidence. I couldn't go up to somebody in a pub and say, yeah, how you doing? I just couldn't do it. That's how it gets you. And that's how illness can get you. It isn't just I talked to a guy about this the other day a few weeks ago, who had a heart attack and been very close to death. His wife brought him back round, right? But he said the same. He said, all the physical recovery I got on top of, but the mental thing took ages. And I said, well, it's the same with me with sepsis. Exactly the same. So I know how that feels. But no, now Labour want to target those people as if they're all scroungers. And if they are scroungers, whose fault's that? Who created this ridiculous, complicated benefit system? Same as the tax system. Why is it all so complicated? And why aren't we looking after our own first? Instead of giving money to farmers in countries all around the world, right? How about looking after our farmers and allowing them to get away with the inheritance tax? Why not support our agriculture and then our fishermen and our workers? It's not that difficult, Sir Keir. You just need to say, I'm putting Britain first. British jobs for British people. You can use any cliche you want. But you can't carry on the way you're carrying on because it's useless. You're so unpopular, it's unbelievable, mate. You are the Millwall of British politics. Getting back to Greg there, he's a Millwall supporter, isn't he? But honestly, I just find it so frustrating. Do you? And I think if Elon Musk comes in and gives millions to reform, everybody's going to have to up their game, aren't they? Or they're going to have to start talking about the things we're concerned about, which is, have we got enough hospitals? Have we got waiting times down? Can you get your child into a school? When your child goes to that school, will they learn the basics rather than learning about 59 million types of gender or kind of trans things? We don't want that. There's another cliche, back to basics, Sir Keir. We're going to make this country great again. Don't be afraid of it. But if you think you can sell to the British public that you'd rather be allied to the EU, although you basically said you thought you could be both, I don't think you can. I don't think Donald Trump's going to let that happen. Donald Trump is going to lay into you and your lousy sixth form cabinet as soon as he's in power. You mark my words. But don't you feel more American? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Europe. I love going to Spain. I've got loads of friends in Italy. I love the whole Italian way of life. Got nothing against Europeans whatsoever. But when it comes to culture, and especially popular culture, I mean, apart from the fact the Americans can't spell, you know, and we let them throw the T away too early before we'd educated them. But you know, when the way they spell colour and stuff like that, come here, you yank. But anyway, my point is, culturally, I feel closer to them than the French. I do. And the Italians. Although I like a bit of Pavarotti, I must admit. But you know what I mean? Our films, we're into Hollywood, aren't we? We're into that. Our music. No, I think that's true. So, of course, we want to ally with America. We should be friends with Europe. We should save their arses again like we have in 2 world wars, along with our colleagues in America and, of course, with the help of the Russians. But this idea that, you know, we'd rather trade with Europe's about that, isn't it, compared to America? Don't you want to be part of the American thing? I do. And I know people have got reservations about Trump, but get over it. He is now going to be the president. And when people say, oh, he's this, he's that, did he do anything worse than Joe Biden, who's just pardoned his son? How can Biden still be in control? It's a farce. That part is a farce. But Trump's coming over, isn't he, this week or next week to Europe? Why aren't we making sure we see him? I think Starmer's not even bothering to go to Paris to see him. Starmer is this weird combination of zero personality and total arrogance. He's like a lot of lawyers I met. You know, they're very clever blokes, but no emotion, no humanity, no humility, no sense of connection, because he thinks he'll just win it on the legal argument. Well, no one voted for you, Keir. You were the least worst option. That's how you got elected. And now, after 100 and so many days, people are realising you're no good. You're not going to have more than one term unless you change, unless you show some humility. Like, say, for example, I was wrong on the winter fuel allowance. Or you say to that lousy cabinet member of yours, I can't bear that woman, Liz, whatever her name is, who's got a house, £4 million house, and is still claiming for the lecky. All of them are claiming for their lecky and gas on their second homes. How can that be right when little old ladies are wrapping themselves up in blankets in the daytime? It can't be, and it isn't. That's what needs changing. So if you want to have a radical reset, Sir Keir, you're going to have to go right back to basics. What do the British people want, and can I deliver that? What did I say I was going to do in the manifesto, and will I try and do that and not lie about it? But the job's going. I don't want to live in woke Britain. I don't want to live in multicoloured costumes, Jaguar's vision. And have you seen the car? I mean, I thought the car looked quite good now the car's come out, to be honest. I don't like the colour of it, obviously, but it's a concept. But I like the length of it. But it's kind of like, it's still not real, is it? And the advertising around it, and the idea that we just dismiss all these people. No, you can't do that. You need to get a grip. But I don't think he will. But I think Elon Musk coming in, he'll make them all up their game. And that's why I'm saying Elon Musk is our saviour, not necessarily Nigel Farage. And I'm not saying that Elon Musk has all the answers. And I understand about the dangers if he's put the money in. But it would change things. And what British politics needs is change, real choices. So, so you can decide who you want to vote for. At the moment, we're voting for the least worst candidate. That's no way to run a democracy, is it? Just my views. If you want to comment, you know what to do. Just get onto Twitter, get onto Facebook, send me an email, john@johngaunt.com. I'm in the mother-in-law's house today, and I haven't quite got the lighting sorted. So I do apologise if the video isn't quite up to standard. I'll get some lights sorted out tomorrow. I've got some lights. I just need to put them up. So I'll get that sorted. So hopefully that'll get better. Thanks for everyone who's supporting me. Going an absolute storm. Thanks for everybody who's buying me a coffee. Don't forget, if you want to do that, it's down on the screen. buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. If you're listening on audio, that's great. If you listen to the podcast, they're still doing well. But if you want to see me in all my glory, you need to go to John Gaunt TV on YouTube, and those videos are going crazy. I've got to get the viewing hours up, then I can monetize it, and then hopefully we can really take this somewhere. Because I think I'm the only person. I don't hear many other people saying the things I'm saying. So I'm either a complete madman or I still represent the views of many ordinary people. Tell me if I do or not. Send me an email, john@johngaunt.com. But I'm going to carry on doing these podcasts because I'm enjoying it. But I just can't put up with the hypocrisy, the nonsense, the stupidity, the uniformity, the diversion tactics they keep throwing up. I just had enough of it. I want them to deal with the concerns that you and I have. And that's surely simple. National security, kicking people out of our country who don't belong here or don't believe in our common values, securing the borders, good education, open to everybody, proper education. Away with this woke nonsense. Yes, all for equality, all for anti-racism, but all this other stuff, no, no, no. It's not what the majority want. So my final message to Sakir is, open your ears, Thunderbird 5, and listen to the people. Because at the moment, you're on the road to destruction. Join me, counting down. It was just so pathetic, wasn't it? Did you not agree with me last night? What an absolute farce. I'll be back soon. Don't forget, if you want to help me, www.buymeacoffee.com, and tell your friends about us. And until we meet again, if you've got children, please give them a kiss, give them a hug, and don't forget to tell them you love them. Cheers. Bye.